Welcome to G3, Games, Gadgets, and Guests, a video podcast from 702 Communications. I'm your host, Brent Crommett. I've got another episode here where we're not really talking about a specific gadget, we're not really talking about a specific game, but I do have a guest, and my brother Brent is joining me again here today. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you.
We want to talk, though, today about just some things going on in the industry, some tech tips, maybe some best practices that people aren't doing, but they really should be to protect themselves online. Data breaches are a big thing. We're seeing a lot of them. The Marriott just happened last week, was announced that there was a massive data breach there. And so if you're still using a single password for all of your online accounts, the days where that was acceptable practice really are behind us. If you're still doing that, you're really putting yourself at risk. And it can be daunting to keep, 100 different passwords, but there are some ways, there's some technology that can actually help you with that, so it makes it more convenient for you to be safer online. So one way that you can really secure your data is to stop using that single password. And the way that I do that is via an app. I use the app LastPass. You can get that in the iOS store. You can get that in the Google store. You can get that pretty much for any device you want. Brent's using that as well. Yes?
I use KeePass on my computer, actually. LastPass is a good app for browsers and stuff like that, but KeePass actually shares a database or creates a database that can be shared with multiple people.
See, and I like LastPass because it exists on my phone as an app. It exists in my browser as an extension. And so I do have a single password that gets me into LastPass, but then I have LastPass create all my passwords for me. So I really don't know. If you held a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what my password to the bank is, for instance. I don't know anymore because LastPass knows that. And I can sign in with my thumbprint on my phone to enter that data if I'm trying to get into that site. And so it really is, Brent had KeePass. There's a lot of other password keepers, password generators out there that are reputable and that are really worth your time. Also, two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is, I will admit, really a pain in the butt.
It is, and it's not available for everything.
And it's not.
But it is something that, like your bank will probably support it, for example, or, Microsoft apps do as well. And there is some debate, too, about, like, if you can't do two-factor or a password keeper, there is some debate on, like, what's recommended for a password where, special characters are all the rage or have been all the rage, but recent talk is more that longer passwords that are nonsensical or are sentences that wouldn't really make sense are more secure than, say, an 8 character with special characters.
Sure.
So the legitimacy there, I'm not sure, but
as our attempts and as technology's attempts to randomize get better, so do the algorithms the hackers use to try to break those.
Because
that's
hackers
just always the way it's going to be.
Right, because hackers can make an algorithm that says your $sign that you thought, that you're using in place of an S should be an S, and they can, try that password or, variations of that.
But the message here really is that you shouldn't be complacent, and you shouldn't just say, well, it's not worth it. They're going to break my password anyway. You really should be taking steps to protect yourself. So, If you use something that has two-factor authentication as an option, but you haven't enabled that, you should do that. It just means that before you sign into something, it's going to send a text to you, it's going to make a call, it's going to send an email to another address, it's going to do something besides you entering a password, and so that can be secure. Password generators, like I say, also a very good choice. I also want to let's shift gears here a little bit. I think that aside from security. The other thing that you hear a lot about, and especially we at the internet as an ISP, hear a lot about is Wi-Fi interference. So I know that that Wi-Fi is the internet as far as consumers are concerned, and I know that as service providers, that can be frustrating to us a little bit because there's a lot of bring your own device as far as home routers and stuff like that goes. But Wi-Fi interference is a big problem, especially in apartment buildings. And it is a very real thing too. We're not making up the term Wi-Fi interference. One of the really great tools that you use to really see the impact of how many different radios are out there and broadcasting and trying to take up all that airtime is Wi-Fi Analyzer. And that's available on iOS. It's not available on Apple, unfortunately. But Wi-Fi Analyzer is a great tool.
It's available on Google.
Google, yeah, not on iOS. Yeah. Sorry if I said that backwards. But that'll show you every SSID of every radio that's broadcasting and the different channels they're broadcasting on. And I would just say, and here's kind of a PSA, if you're having trouble with slow speeds for your and with your ISP and you're connecting wirelessly, you'll do both yourself and your provider a favor if you give the help desk there a call and see if they can't help you get through some of those things, because it might be as simple as changing a channel that you're on or moving to a different frequency on your Wi-Fi router.
It more than likely is.
Yeah. So Wi-Fi interference, it's real. You can test for it. Wi-Fi Analyzer is the app I recommend. Okay, so there's our education for the day. So let's get back into some of the stuff that we more generally talk about here on G3. Let's talk about our favorite smart home devices. So we've each got a couple smart home devices in our homes.
I only really have one.
Okay.
And it's the Philips Hue bridge.
I don't have the Hue.
Oh.
So why did you select the Hue?
I think because it was on sale.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I was interested in it because it, you can make different rooms. You know, you make rooms out of individual lights. Mm-hmm. So you have two lights that you plugged in your living room. Mm-hmm. You make that a room in the app, and you can do pretty much whatever you want with it. So you can tell it to dim at a certain time, mm-hmm. Tell it to turn off at a certain time, tell it to wake you up at a certain time, or you can do scenes or any color on the spectrum kind of thing, mm-hmm. Which is all pretty neat. And I think I only have the version 1 bridge. There's a version 2 that's out now that supports like gaming and stuff like that. So when there's loud noises, it flashes.
Oh, really?
Right.
Okay.
And I guess that would be cool if I had it. I don't have it.
Okay.
And there's also, if you're a nerd, there's also an API that you can access.
Okay.
And I've been a nerd, and I made...
Recovering?
No, I'm still in the throes. But you can do, REST API calls to it and do pretty much the same things that you can do through apps and stuff like that. So.
And am I right when I say that the Philips Hue bulbs are a little cheaper than like my recommended LifeX bulbs at $60 a piece?
Yes. I think I only ever look at like packs, mm-hmm. But
seems like they go for closer to 30.
I'm probably gonna lie to you if I say any number. So.
Okay, so we'll maybe check out to see if either of us are lying about that with the Hue. You've heard me talk about LifeX bulbs before, even recently, so I'm not going to do that. Actually, I'm going to select my favorite I have a lot of favorite smart home stuff actually right now, but I'm going to talk about. I just got a report from my Sensi thermostat. Just got an email from my thermostat like yesterday. Which was really interesting. It told me that in the month of November, my furnace heated for 88 hours. Which it told me the average humidity in my house was 38 because I'm running a whole humidifier now, mm-hmm. or a whole home humidifier now. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought that was really interesting. It showed me a comparison to last year as well. So it was kind of mirroring some of the information I'm getting from my power company, but I'm getting that from my thermostat. So I thought that was really cool. And I thought it's also worth mentioning that the Sensi thermostat you don't hear a lot about because you hear about the Nest, primarily the Nest, really.
I just think about the air fresheners. Sensi.
No, it's not Scent, not SCNT, SENSI. But that thermostat is on sale today for $77 too. So I think that's cool too, right? That we can get a smart home thermostat that works with Alexa, that is going to be emailing you data like that. So Again, for $77, that's pretty easy entry into smart home. Last but not least on my list here today is 3 great apps. So I know that people generally are pretty loyal to a telephone platform, right? iOS or Apple, but sometimes people switch. Sometimes people get in a rut too and don't. What did I say? iOS and Apple. Sorry. Thanks, Brent. For iOS or Android. And so we don't know about the different apps that are cross-platform there that we might be missing out on. So can you give me an example of a favorite app that you've got on Android?
Yes, I guess I don't have a lot there either. I like Aqua Mail for my email because it's exchange and you can do exchange-like things.
Okay.
You can include signatures and have as many accounts and stuff as you like. I guess the thing that's most interesting to me on mine currently is Tasker.
Okay.
Which is another nerd thing. It's all about automation, and it's kind of a learning curve, but you can basically. The reason I got it, I like to use Bluetooth a lot, right?
Okay. Yep.
And whenever my Bluetooth connects, I expect my Spotify to open or my last used music player to start playing.
Yep.
And that would happen 50% of the time because of battery saving, whatever. So I was angry because I had to take my phone out of my pocket.
Understand. Struggle's real.
So I bought Tasker and I told it to, if you're connected to this Bluetooth device, you open Spotify, wait 3 seconds and press play. And ever since then, I've never had the issue.
Okay, so that sounds great. I love that actually. I have a struggle with that personally because I have an Apple phone, and I have Spotify as my premium or as my primary music player. But when I get in the car, every time I get in the car, it plays A Whiter Shade of Pale because that's the first song in my music library, and it always plays it, and it's starting to drive me crazy. So that would be handy for me.
And you can get even more in depth and say, play this playlist when you're connected to this Bluetooth or whatever like that. So
that's cool. Yeah. I will, however, say that I'm not just angry at Apple. They recently released an app for iOS called Measure. So you can hold up your phone and you can measure an item or a surface or a wall or anything. It'll just measure that for you in space. You can take a picture of that then. It's the coolest thing.
I don't believe it.
I'm going to show it to you. You guys can't see. You just go to measure, and then you'll have to move it around a little bit so it orients itself in space. And then find and it adds a point there. You click plus, and then you go over to the other corner, and you can see that this table is 3'11".
Top notch.
We can get a tape measure out here to prove that or disprove that, but from my research, it's been within an inch.
Interesting.
I'm getting the thumbs down. How wide is this table, Scott?
4 feet.
3'11", within an inch.
Within an inch.
I said. Yeah. All right, so Measure is a cool app in a pinch on the iOS store. Yeah. Anything else? Any other big tech tips? Any smart home stuff? Any home security? Any digital security?
I'm sure that there is, but not that I know of.
Okay, great. We're gonna wrap this episode up right here. Then I hope you liked just a little bit of this informative kind of non-traditional G3, where we talked a little bit about securing your digital signature or your securing your passwords online. Talked a little bit about different ways you can generate and keep your passwords. Two-factor authentication. Talked about Wi-Fi interference and some new cool apps that you might want to check out. So thank you again, Brent, for joining me here.
Certainly.
Throwing in your opinions on some of this and keeping me honest when I messed up earlier. So I appreciate that. We hope you guys appreciated this episode and found some of this stuff interesting. And if you did, we hope you like, subscribe, tell all your friends, because we're going to continue to do more episodes of G3 with more interesting games, gadgets, and of course, guests. So until next time, I'm Brent Crommett. This is G3. Game on.